In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Prime Time, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Alive News Primetime on the ATL starts now.
Remembering a U.S. Supreme Court justice who fought for women and fought for equal rights for millions and millions of Americans. The tributes to Ruth Bader Ginsburg and the possible picks with Georgia ties to replace her on the nation's highest courts.
Prayers answered. The big milestones the family is celebrating after this photo of a little boy praying for his grandpa battling COVID-19 went viral.
And Ellen DeGeneres promising to change after the allegations that her show created a toxic workplace and she wasn't a very nice person. Let us know whether you think it goes far enough. Numbers show COVID cases are dropping in Fulton County, but some teachers still don't feel it's safe to be heading back into the classroom. Tonight, they're urging the district to hit the brakes on plans to bring back even more students. Joe Hankey talking to both sides about the plans that impact about 100,000 Metro Atlanta kids.
Fulton County School students are now taking in-person classes 1 day per week and online classes the remaining 4 days during the week. The plan, though, is in less than a month to have students back full-time in the classroom.
We're moving at a pace that no one's prepared for, and we're dealing with a situation that no one has ever encountered before. So we need to take as much precaution as possible, especially when we're dealing with students.
Fulton County High School teacher Jerome Dunson tells 11 Alive he believes COVID-19 numbers are still too high for students to soon return full-time. Other teachers 11 Alive talk with added they are not opposed to having some students in class, but believe the number of students are being increased too quickly. The district sent 11 Alive a statement reading in part, the phase-in plan is a slow and cautious approach to reintroducing students and staff to the classroom. And incidence rates in Fulton County have dropped to 142 per 100,000 population, and positivity rates are down to 5%. As school buses dropped off students this morning, it marked the beginning of phase 3 in the district's timeline. Phase 4 calls for students to be at school twice a week starting October 5th and a return to in-person instruction full-time on October 14th. Parents still have the option, though, of remaining virtual full-time if they choose. Several Fulton County teachers last week penned this open letter reading in part, for reasons that were never justified, our Fulton County leadership has recklessly chosen to reintroduce face-to-face instruction in spite of the present level of COVID-19 community spread. Dunson says he feels concerns from the district's teachers are not being considered as decisions are made.
For the most part, we've been told what we're going to do and when we're going to open, and that we just need to make sure we do our jobs as teachers, which we all are. We are all professionals and we want the best for the students.
And we have full versions of that open letter from Fulton County teachers, as well as the statement from the Fulton County School District inside this story right now on 11alive.com.
So let's take a closer look at COVID cases among Fulton County children. Our numbers team has been tracking the data. They found in the last month that cases have decreased for kids ages 5 to 17 in Fulton, but they're still moderately high. We also took a closer look at COVID cases by zip code in Fulton County. 30349 is the zip code with the most cases. To date, there are more than 1,700 in the College Park area. It is home to 9 elementary schools now heading back to class. In North Fulton, 30342 leads in cases. That is in the Sandy Springs area, with 1 elementary school starting to return. Since the beginning of the pandemic, they have seen more than 1,100 cases.
A fraternity at the University of Georgia has suspended itself over racist and sexist remarks made in an online group message.
Organization and the individuals accountable. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation is now looking into the death of a woman accused of charging at deputies with a knife and blowtorch. According to the Oconee County Sheriff's Office, the woman was tased and shot by deputies responding to a domestic incident. The Sheriff's Office says deputies on scene rendered aid to the woman, but she did not survive. No deputies were hurt during the shooting. White County is mourning the death of a deputy who died after a battle with COVID-19. White County's Animal Control Division Chief Joey Kastner died from COVID-19 complications there with his family. He was only 36. A Facebook post says that he spent many weeks in the hospital battling the virus. Kastner joined White County's team in 2013. He worked his way up to division chief.
All 7 candidates running in a special election for the late Congressman John Lewis's seat suspended their campaigns for half the day to address claims of voter suppression in Fulton County. The candidates joined the Concerned Black Clergy of Metro Atlanta today, raising awareness for the long lines we saw during the primaries, with some waiting hours to cast their votes. As a solution, the Fulton County Board of Elections says it's adding 40 new polling locations. The county says this will allow for better social distancing and shorter wait times. First daughter Ivanka Trump and Attorney General William Barr made a couple of stops in Georgia today. They toured the Georgia Center for Child Advocacy in Atlanta, speaking with survivors and advocates. And Barr announced the Department of Justice has awarded more than $100 million to fight human trafficking throughout the United States. They also took part in a roundtable discussion involving public and private groups like the Tim Tebow Foundation and members of the business community. Governor Brian Kemp and First Lady Marty Kemp were there as well. They have both made fighting human trafficking a signature issue of their administration. Trump and Barr's visit comes after last month's announcement of $500,000 in grant money for Wellspring Living. It's a nonprofit based out of Atlanta that offers recovery services for victims. The funding will help with those services and victims' housing resources. Ivanka Trump says it's all part of the work to end human trafficking and support those who have survived.
For this crime to no longer persist in the shadows, we need the effort and collaboration of everyone around this table, including the private sector, who can both help us identify victims and perpetrators, but also offer jobs and opportunities for those who are recovering.
We've marshaled all our resources to fight this criminal activity and to do what we can to help the survivors. This is one of the top enforcement priorities of the department.
And I might recall this is not the first time that the first daughter has stopped in Georgia working on the issue of human trafficking. Back in January, she met with survivors at the City of Refuge, holding a roundtable discussion during that visit as well.
Tonight, we have details of the plans to honor the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the second woman ever to serve in the Supreme Court. She was known for groundbreaking civil rights cases involving women and also fighting for a woman's right for equal pay. She also is one of the court's most outspoken advocates on abortion rights. She died Friday night at the age of 87. In honor of that legacy, Justice Ginsburg will lie in repose Wednesday and Thursday at the U.S. Supreme Court. The public will not be allowed inside. After a small ceremony with family, friends, and fellow justices Wednesday morning, her casket will be placed under the portico at the top of the Supreme Court steps for public viewing. Then, on Friday, she will mark yet another milestone for women. She'll be in the she will lie in state at the National Statuary Hall at the U.S. Capitol, the first woman to ever have that honor. Next week, Ruth Bader Ginsburg will be buried in a private service at Arlington National Cemetery alongside her late husband, Martin Ginsburg.
Already, the wheels are in motion to replace Justice Ginsburg on the Supreme Court. President Trump says he will name his nominee by the end of this week, and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is laying the groundwork for a record-speed confirmation. President Trump says his nominee will be a woman, and a judge with Georgia ties is among his top 2 reported contenders. Judge Barbara Lagoa serves as the U.S. Court of Appeals, or on that court, rather, for the 11th Circuit based in Atlanta. She was the first Hispanic woman to be appointed as a justice of the Supreme Court of Florida and worked on the Elian Gonzalez case pro bono before that. The other woman considered to be a top contender is federal judge Amy Coney Barrett. Once President Trump makes his choice, he is urging Senate Republicans to use their majority power.
The bottom line is we won the election. We have an obligation to do what's right and act as quickly as possible.
President Trump wants a vote before the presidential election, now just about 43 days away. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has already promised the Senate will vote on the person nominated by the president. Republican Senators Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski have already said they do not support moving ahead before the election. It would take 2 more GOP defections to block the nominee. We have much more in terms of local coverage on the death of Justice Ginsburg right now for you on 11alive.com, including reaction from Georgia lawmakers and candidates about efforts to fill her seat on the Supreme Court.
Coming up next, another misstep by the CDC. Now it's trying to set the record straight. And 3 months of prayer finally answered. We have an update on the grandfather who battled COVID-19 with his grandson's spiritual support. And don't forget, we are all streaming, as always, on the 11 Alive YouTube channel. Right now, you can subscribe and let us know what you're thinking. Join in the conversation there in the community section. We've got more 11 Alive news in prime time after this break.
Every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear, on 11 Alive News Prime Time, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
The CDC confused a lot of people over the weekend with a post about COVID-19 transmission, and now the agency is trying to fix it. On Friday, an update on the agency's website said the virus can be transmitted through tiny aerosol droplets that are produced when an infected person coughs, sneezes, sings, talks, or breathes. However, the CDC now says that was a draft version. It was posted in error. The agency went back to previous language, saying the virus spreads between people who are in close contact with one another about 6 feet.
A little boy's prayers are answered. 4-year-old Owen told his mom that he would pray every single day until his grandfather, who was battling COVID-19, was released from the hospital. Well, it took more than 3 months, and as our Caitlin Ross reports, his grandfather is now home and marking a very special milestone.
Chuck and Nancy Paulus are celebrating their 40th wedding anniversary, and it was made so much sweeter by all they've overcome.
I got to experience when they hugged each other for the first time. Okay, I won't lie, I lost it. I was bawling my eyeballs out.
Chuck and Nancy Paulus celebrated 40 years of marriage with their children and grandchildren by their side.
They've been together longer than they were ever not together. And when you know, like, how are you supposed to do life without the other one?
Chuck was in ICU with COVID-19 for nearly 100 days. His entire family got sick when the pandemic first hit Georgia. Their kids recovered quickly, and Nancy was released from the hospital after a week. Then they all prayed for Chuck's recovery.
Wondered if this day would ever come, and when it finally did, I was just overwhelmed.
Nancy says they always had faith Chuck would pull through, but it was hard to see him isolated and alone for so long. That's why this day meant so much.
That was excellent, excellent. The whole family, friends around, it was really a great day.
They're taking his progress day by day, though, as he fights to get stronger.
Some days, the smallest activities he tries to do that he thinks should be so simple take a little bit more effort. So he would like this body to catch up with his mind.
Their family says his recovery has inspired them to appreciate the small things, like just being together.
When I see my boys with him, it makes my heart grow 100 times bigger because these are memories that I didn't know that we would be able to make.
Chuck says he hopes his recovery inspires other families who are fighting this virus to see there is hope on the other side.
Caitlin, this entire family had the virus. How are they doing?
Incredibly, they're all doing really well. Chuck is the only one who still has any side effects, but most of that is from being in the ICU on the ventilator for so long. He says he's fighting to get stronger every day, though, because he has so much to live for.
Including a new grandchild. Caitlin, I understand the timing on that was pretty perfect.
Yes, he was released from the hospital on a Wednesday, and his newest grandchild was born that Friday, a little girl named Charlie, after her opa.
Well, we're going to feel those temperatures cooling down again as we go through the rest of the evening hours tonight, from the mid-60s now into the lower 60s around 9:30, 10 o'clock tonight, and even some upper 50s over in West Georgia at Carrollton. East of us over at Athens, about 59 degrees at 9:30, 10 o'clock tonight. More of those 50s up in North Georgia, too. And those temperatures will continue to fall during the overnight hours with mostly clear skies. Here in town, we're going to be in the low to maybe some mid-50s around Metro Atlanta. But on the east side, check out Athens at 49 to start the day on Tuesday, Gainesville 49, and then mid-50s in Blairsville and also Clayton. And then these temperatures gradually start to warm up as we get closer to lunchtime, around the mid-60s here in Metro Atlanta, and then topping off in the low to mid-70s for tomorrow afternoon, which is still below average, but maybe just a degree or two warmer than it was out there for today. And then early in the morning on Wednesday, another cool start, just not as cool as it has been, as we're going to see a few more clouds building in and some tropical moisture moving our way. Dew points rising. That means it's not going to be quite as cool in the mornings as we get toward the middle and end of the week. We're going to go with a 10 on the wasometer. This is our scale from 1 to 11, where an 11 is a perfect day. It's really close to an 11 with a lot of sunshine, just a few high thin clouds starting to build in. But these temperatures are below where we should be for this time of year. But 74, it's going to be feeling really nice out there. Take a look at the European model, and these are the changes that are going to be moving our way, all depending on the track of what is left of beta. Wednesday, clouds are going to be on the increase. This is in the afternoon. You see mostly cloudy skies, but no rain here yet. On Thursday, that's where we're going to see the showers moving in from the west, and those showers will be with us for a big part of the day on Friday as well. Some pockets of moderate to heavy rain. And then even though beta, or what's left of it, doesn't even make it into Georgia, we're still going to see a lot of tropical moisture even lingering into the weekend. On Saturday, lower rain chances. Sunday, I still have a 40% chance for a shower in, but we may see some drying later in the day. And then for the first part of next week, it does dry out a little bit more here for Monday and also on Tuesday. So take a look at these rain totals. Heaviest rain amounts are going to be along the Gulf Coast region, where beta is going to be hanging out for a while. But some of the tropical moisture coming our way, some areas could see 2 to 4 inches of rain, and there might be some isolated spots that get up to around 6 inches of rain. We don't think this is going to be like Sally. We're not expecting wind or breezes in association with this, but we'll get a pretty good coverage of rain moving in. Please know know that these totals most likely are going to be changing over the next few days. It all depends on the eventual track of beta and how much moisture is left with it as it's dying out, getting closer to us. First day of fall on Tuesday, and it'll feel fall-like at 74. More clouds build in Wednesday. Showers Thursday and Friday, a little more likely there before they taper off a little bit Saturday, Sunday, and Monday with highs near 80.
The Emmy Awards were last night, and they look like nothing we've ever seen. Nominees for TV's finest appeared virtually from their homes. What a bizarre instance. Some in their football stadiums of their favorite team. And some performers received their trophies courtesy of people in hazmat suits. Yes. Some of the awards were even presented by frontline medical workers. Some Georgia productions came out on top last night, including HBO's Watchmen, which was the most nominated show at this year's Emmy, with 26 nods.
We dedicate this award to the victims and survivors of the Tulsa Massacre of 1921. The fires that destroyed Black Wall Street still burn today. The only way to put them out is if we all fight them together.
Series creator Damon Lindelof saluted the historical roots of the alternate history saga of superheroes and vigilantes. Last night, Watchmen made history, winning Best Limited Series of the Emmys on Sunday, marking the first time a comic book adaptation has taken home a top prize at the annual celebration of television's best. Jennifer, you ever see that show?
I have not yet, but it's on my watch list.
All right. The show won 11 Emmys in total, including Regina King for Best Actress in a Limited Series or Movie. The cast of Ozark also celebrated a big win last night. Julia Garner won big for Best Supporting Actress in a Drama Series. Season 3 of the show is nominated for 18 Emmys, including Outstanding Drama Series, Outstanding Lead Actor Jason Bateman, and Outstanding Lead Actress Laura Linney. And we are sending a congratulations to Tyler Perry, who doesn't need anything from us, that's for sure. He received the Governor's Award last night. What a life he is in the middle of. He was chosen for his achievements in inclusion, engagement, employment, and other initiatives to help the beloved community. It is one of the highest awards presented by the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. An extraordinary man.
A lot going on over there, a lot going on with Ellen DeGeneres as well. She is back and she is addressing the controversy surrounding her talk show over the summer. But has she done enough? We're getting your reactions coming up next in Primetime.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest.
Ellen DeGeneres has returned for season 18 of her afternoon talk show on our sister station 11 Alive. Today she addressed recent accusations of a toxic work environment that led to an internal investigation and the firing of 3 top producers.
I learned that things happened here that never should have happened. I take that very seriously, and I want to say I am so sorry to the people who were affected. I know that I'm in a position of privilege and power, and I realize that with that comes responsibility, and I take responsibility for what happens at my show. Being known as the Be Kind Lady is a tricky position to be in. So let me give you some advice out there. If anybody's thinking of changing their title or giving yourself a nickname, do not go with the Be Kind Lady. Don't do it. The truth is, I am that person that you see on TV. I am also a lot of other things. Sometimes I get sad, I get mad, I get anxious, I get frustrated, I get impatient, and I am working on all of that. I am a work in progress.
Show Preheim, Aisha Howard, and Francesca Amaker discussed the controversy earlier today. Here's a listen.
Okay, a little accountability there. I'm here for accountability. We know you all had a lot to say about this, so Cheryl and I wanted to sit down and talk with the host of 11 Alive's The A Scene, Francesca Amaker, back with us tonight at 5. Fran, thanks so much for joining us. We want to talk to both of you about your reaction to Ellen's statement. Cheryl, let's kick it off with you. What do you think about that?
Yeah, my first gut reaction is exactly what you said, Aisha, that there was realness and accountability, saying, hey, I do have privilege power. I have to have a greater responsibility. It's my name on the show. There's 270 people who work on it, and ultimately the buck stops with me. And Fran, I did like that she was real about, hey, I have a bad day, and it's not always maybe all sunshine and roses, but my ultimate goal is always going to be promoting a message of kindness, and that would be her goal moving forward.
And I also just wanted to throw in there also, Cheryl, I'm sorry for the delay. What's really interesting here is that this controversy was necessary in the entire entertainment industry, because what this allowed the industry to do was to establish accountability and transparency from these big-time production companies and these big-time studios. What has transpired from this act is more and more investigations. I commend Warner Media for establishing an immediate and quick investigation. But at the same time, according to Hollywood Reporter, because of this, Telepictures, who syndicates not only Ellen, but also The Real, we're familiar with that show, also Judge Mathis, they have now talked to 24 or more current and former employees who also revealed toxic cultures on those 3 shows and more. So what we're seeing now is that people have the power. And I'm not just talking about in the entertainment world when we're just specifically this Ellen scandal. We're seeing it in social justice. Injustice is happening. People have the power here. And so what this industry is now learning is that people have to speak up. They have to call people out. They have to, I was just having a conversation behind the scenes here. It comes from the top down. It's Ellen at fault, but it's also she should have had that transparency and that solitude with her base, with the people who work at the lowest of the totem pole at her show. Because when you trust other people to create your voice or to establish the voice and the vision that you want for your piece of content, this can be the result of it, and it can be something negative and toxic.
And Fran, that flows exactly into some of the comments we got. This one coming in from Tanya, who says, would she ever had changed if she wasn't called out? Ellen had to know that she was doing wrong.
Yeah, and some people were more supportive. As you see right here, Richard says, Ellen, you didn't do anything to anyone, but like a great leader, you took responsibility and you took care of it. Great job.
Pamela adding in, I think that it takes courage on her part to confront all of the rumors that have gone on in the past few months. She's admitting to her past mistakes, and she's willing to move forward and learn from all of that has taken place. I'll be watching her show because I feel that she's a genuine person who also screws up just like the rest of us. And Ellen pointed out that for the last 17 years, she's not that good of an actress. She couldn't have really been so different than who she really is, and she does want to make a difference. And she said, if there was ever a time this world needs more happiness, joy, and helping each other out, it's now, and she really wants to do that in a greater way from here on out.
Fran, what you uncovered is like, the industry is having the sheets pulled back a little bit with these shows. So I'm sure the A-Scene will continue to follow how those newly launched investigations that were springboard off of the Ellen investigation will unfold, because like you said, from top down, everyone deserves that respect. And you may have a great experience working for the Ellen Show. I may have a horrible experience, but all experiences are valid and deserve to be investigated if someone feels they were done wrong.
I also want to quickly point this out, ladies, if you don't mind. The culture that we're in right now is a culture where obviously we keep saying the word accountability, but according to PR gurus looking at this scandal and this controversy, Ellen did everything right getting in front of this issue. There was this campaign that was created, the I Stand With Ellen campaign, that was immediately created by her wife, and everyone started getting on, saying the positive things that she's contributed to the world. Then what happened? We started seeing celebrity friends also jump in there. Steve Harvey, Kevin Hart, Katy Perry, speaking on her behalf, talking about who she is as a person. And we also, lastly, one thing that we saw in this celebrity culture is every single time it was mentioned, she was doing what? Sending out a letter to her staff. She sent 2 letters to her staff that we saw, and also getting smack dab in front of it, as we saw right here in the first 7 minutes of her show. She said, I'm ready to address it. And that's how you win. And that's how you win people back over, if that's possible, in controversies like this one.
We will keep following and see how it all plays out. Welcome back to season 18 of The Ellen Show. As always, we want you to be involved in the conversation. You can head on over to the 11 Alive Facebook page and leave us a comment there.
Still ahead in prime time, it's legal to use medical marijuana here in Georgia, but COVID-19 is making it even more complicated to actually buy it here. We're verifying the facts when it comes to patients and their medicine.
Or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you...
Thousands of medically fragile people still quarantined at home during the pandemic. That's a long time. And some of them say they can't stay in Georgia anymore because they can't access the medicine that they so desperately need.
One family contacted 11 Alive because they think medical marijuana is the only way to save their son's life, but they say they still can't legally buy it here in the state. Caitlin Ross went to verify if these families have any other options.
Georgia passed a law in 2015 that allowed people with certain medical conditions to ingest medical marijuana. Angel Salter's son Dylan was one of the first people in the state to get a medical marijuana card. She says it was life-changing for him.
When he's able to access the proper strain of cannabis, the proper amount of cannabis, it stops his seizures. It helps his pain.
Dylan is 22 and suffers from severe and life-threatening seizures. Angel says medical marijuana is the only thing that helps.
We've tried every pharmaceutical that we could possibly try, and they didn't help. They made things worse. This is our last resort. It works, and we have no access.
To verify, we looked at Georgia's current law. Last April, Governor Kemp signed a bill to legalize medical marijuana production and distribution. Late last year, the governor set up the Georgia Access to Medical Cannabis Coalition to figure out how to run the medical marijuana business in the state, but they only met once before the pandemic hit. So when it comes down to the law right now, is it legal to buy medical marijuana in Georgia? We went directly to the source, the State Department of Health resource page on the drug, and the answer is in black and white. No, you cannot buy marijuana in Georgia. So we can verify that's true. There's still no legal way to get medical marijuana in Georgia. And that makes it tough on families like Angel's, whose son's condition is getting worse.
It's beyond frustrating because it's life or death for my son.
In May, the state hired a new executive director for the Georgia Access to Medical Cannabis Coalition, who seems hopeful they'll be able to make progress soon. In a statement, Andrew Turnage says, "We have one goal, and that's to get oil for families in need. Think about families that have struggled to have their basic needs met during this pandemic. We have families in Georgia that have struggled for years to get this basic need, low THC oil, and our task will be to ensure that they receive it."
Tonight, Atlanta Falcons owner Arthur Blank is talking about his new book chronicling his rise to success. Here's that conversation with 11 Alive's Chesley McNeil.
This book is great. It's called Good Company by Arthur Blank. We love the book. I want to start off, though, with what gave you that notion to get into business?
I'm a CPA by background, a CPA in 3 states. And after doing that for a short while, and I decided I really didn't want to be on the recording side of the desk. I wanted to be on the side of the desk that was making things happen, if you will, and other people could take care of the recording of the events.
Mm-hmm.
So, I moved into that side of the business, became the president of a chain of drugstores, and then, moved out west and worked with my partner, Bernie Marcus, who we co-founded Home Depot together in 1978, 79 of our first stores in Atlanta. And I left after 23 years, Bernie soon after that.
You tell some, speaking of stories, you tell some amazing stories. I'm told they're untold stories in the book, like Atlanta Falcons, the deal going down on a napkin. Is that true?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we had a little habit, which was kind of a fun habit we developed at Home Depot. Is that so? When I did that with Taylor Smith, when we agreed to our deal, which was $545 million, which is public, it was really interesting. Once you asked him to put pen to paper, he became like, "Oh boy, this is really serious." And it was kind of like a funny experience. So we have the signed napkin. It's up in our museum, and we have it there today. But Taylor's a great friend and a good supporter. And
speaking of which, I mean, thank you, for what you do for the Atlanta community, and you're giving back. Giving back is very important to you. Tell us why.
It is. Well, started probably at a very early age. I came from a very middle class background, a single bedroom apartment in Queens, which is like the United Nations of a city, a community. And my brother and I slept in the 1 bedroom, and my mom and dad slept in a pull-out sofa in the foyer. And that was where we started from. My mother, despite not having any financial resources, always was active in the community, always was active where issues came up, always wanted to be part of a solution. And I do believe that we're part of this notion of we are our brother's keepers. We are here to make a difference, not just in our own families and setting those kind of role model examples, but actually to give back to humanity in the broader sense of the word.
You are in a city where civil rights is at the helm. You speak about it in your book. You've been have been shoulder to shoulder with some of our leaders. I saw you at John Lewis's funeral. Tell me what he meant to you.
You know, my relationship with him could not have been better. Every time I was with him, I felt I was walking with a giant. John was, you know, the notion of good trouble, the notion of, you know, looking for good trouble, creating good trouble, staying in good trouble, not bad trouble. So, you know, it's the same thing that Dr. King wrote about in his last book, which wasn't published till a year after he passed away by his wife, Coretta Scott King, community or chaos. And, you know, and Dr. King always chose community. And I think John Lewis always chose community, always chose, I mean, good trouble didn't mean violence, it meant nonviolence. And it meant doing it in a way that was going to be effective. You know, I miss John. I see him in my mind almost every day because there are circumstances that we are all living with. So there needs to be a heightened sense of urgency, a heightened sense of push, a heightened sense of we got to make changes and got to take advantage of them now. And we need to move forward with that. So America will miss him, but hopefully, like in all of us that pass on, that the best parts of us stay, and the best parts of us are carried on by other people and carried on into the future. And I think with John Lewis, that'll be the case.
Last question for you. I read your favorite T-shirt is "No Finish Line." So that tells me that you have no thoughts of any retiring, anything like that. You're going to keep going?
No, I would say that's very true. That's very true, Chesley. I mean, it's interesting. One of my good friends is President Carter, who was kind enough to write the foreword in the book. And, you know, you ask him if he's going to retire. He said, retire to what? I said, I'm living my life. My life is a life of purpose. The life is a life of meaning. So my answer is very much the same thing. I love what I'm doing with our foundation. I've been blessed in incredible ways. I want to make a difference in people's lives and give back, both by this book, and by the way, the proceeds of this book all go to the National Civil and Human Rights Museum in Atlanta.
Arthur Blank, I know you don't want to say it, but I'll say it. One of the best business minds in the entire world. Thank you so much for joining us. Really
I appreciate it. God bless. Thank you for your work. Thank you.
Same to you. Same to you.
Atlanta, lucky to have Arthur Blank here. He does so much seen and unseen. What would we do without him here? The fight is on with Senate Republicans promising to vote on a new Supreme Court justice less than 45 days before the election. 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks, and we are going to hear from you.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Prime Time, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who...
Days after her death, many across the United States continue to gather to remember and mourn the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Flowers spread out in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. Marches took place in several cities with people promising they will not forget her legacy. She was the second woman appointed to the nation's highest court, and she will be the first woman to lie in state at the U.S. Capitol. Hope Ford was there as people gathered outside the state Supreme Court last night, as they hope her passing becomes a call to action.
A blow of the shofar, a horn, part of the Jewish tradition during Rosh Hashanah, used here to pay tribute to Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
A very big part of Judaism is justice and searching for justice and fighting for justice. It's actually part of our faith. And so Ruth was a Jew who lived her life exactly as we should.
Many people pointed to Ginsburg's passing on the holiest of Jewish holidays as a sign to keep fighting for things she believed in.
This is really the beginning of a revolution, for social justice in this country.
Though the crowd wanted to honor the late justice, they also called out the back and forth between Republicans and Democrats. President Trump already said he wants to nominate a woman to replace Ginsburg, and he wants to do it sooner rather than later.
We said that if for any reason we have a vacancy on the United States Supreme Court, we will fill that vacancy.
But Democrats like presidential candidate Joe Biden say it's better to wait until after the election.
To jam this nomination through the Senate is just an exercise in raw political power.
She said her most fervent wish was that she not be replaced until a new president was in office.
With her vacant seat now a battle between political parties, this crowd says they're inspired more than ever to vote and make change.
I think it's just really important that people be bold and take a stand and they have conversations about this.
Let's get you caught up now on 3 things you need to know. A 5-day bike fest drew tens of thousands of people from all around the United States to the Lake of the Ozarks despite the pandemic. Local health officials fear the event could be a super spreader of the coronavirus. A similar North Dakota rally in August was linked to outbreaks in at least 8 states. People who attended the bike fest say they were not worried about getting sick and did not wear face coverings. Tomorrow is National Voter Registration Day. Foot Locker says it's getting on board to help target youth voters. The athletic retailer is joining forces with Rock the Vote to offer voter registration services. Starting tomorrow, Foot Locker's customers can sign up in more than 2,000 stores, including the Kid and Lady Foot Locker stores, as well as Champs and Foot Action. CEO Richard Johnson says the plan is to inspire and empower youth culture. Tropical storm Beta is heading toward parts of the Lone Star State. It is expected to make landfall among Texas's central or upper Gulf Coast today. With 60-mile-per-hour winds, the storm is not expected to reach hurricane strength, but up to 15 inches of rain could fall in some areas.
I'm meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11 Alive Storm Trackers. Hope you're liking the dry weather. This blue and purple color indicates the very dry air that we have in place. We enjoyed that yesterday. We're enjoying it today. And we're going to continue to see the dry weather in our area on Tuesday as well, with mostly sunny skies, just a few clouds that'll kind of mix in high, thin clouds at times. Notice the moisture, though. When you run into the oranges and reds, we see more moisture out in the Gulf Coast region, and a lot of this has to do with Beta, tropical storm making landfall tonight along the Texas coast, spreading a lot of rain in along the entire Gulf Coast region. And this moisture eventually is going to move our way as the remnants of Beta move up into Mississippi once we get toward the end of the week. But as it does that, ahead of that, we're going to see clouds increasing on Wednesday, but we don't expect any rain here on Wednesday. And then as this moisture continues to build, we're going to see our rain chances coming up on Thursday and then into Friday Friday, a better chance for rain, and even a few showers lingering as we go into the weekend before some drier air starts to filter in for the second half of the weekend and the beginning of next week. Now, the dew points, that's an indicator of how much moisture is in the atmosphere. You know, right now we're dealing with really low dew points. That's the dry weather that we had today, we'll have tomorrow. But then notice how the dew points start rising. That's the indicator of more moisture that's moving in, the tropical moisture moving our way. And as these dew points rise and the moisture content in the air rises, we're going to see our rain chances rising too as we get into Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday. Higher rain chances before the drier air comes in next week. So it's feeling like fall, and actually fall arrives on Tuesday around 9:31 in the morning on Tuesday morning. It is going to be the autumnal equinox, and finally the calendar and Mother Nature are all in sync where it feels like fall out there right now. We're tracking beta, and as the remnants of that system move up into the southeast, we're going to watch those rain chances coming up. So a 10 on the wasometer for your Tuesday. This is our scale from 1 to 11, where an 11 is a perfect day. Really nice, mostly sunny, just a few high thin clouds building in. 74 for a high. Below average. That's the only reason we're not going with an 11 on the wasometer. We should be around 81 for this time of year. Here's the forecast track. Clouds increasing Wednesday. Here comes that rain in association with beta and that tropical moisture that starts moving our way. Better coverage of that on Friday. Even some pockets of heavy rain at times. Could be possible we have some rumbles of thunder or flashes of lightning. And then the tropical moisture hangs out with us somewhat for part of the weekend with our rain chances lingering here. So here's the 7-day outlook. 74 for a high for your first day of fall on Tuesday. 76 Wednesday with clouds increasing. Showers arriving though Thursday. Pretty good coverage of showers on Friday with highs near 76. We're back up to near 80 Saturday, Sunday, and Monday with the rain chances going down a little bit for the weekend and beginning of next week.
People who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are
We are nearly 1 week into Hispanic Heritage Month, and in the United States, Hispanics account for 18.5% of the population, and that number is growing, making them the largest racial or ethnic minority. So we wanted to share some important information about people who identify as part of the Hispanic community. Throughout history, labels like Latino, Hispanic, and Spanish have kicked up a lot of debates about identity. Ariana Datil with our sister station in Washington, D.C. breaks it down for us tonight.
Latino, Hispanic, Latinx, and Spanish. Who claims which label? Great question. Throughout history, those terms have been used to kick up debates about identity in these communities. However, today, according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, the general definition of Hispanic refers to all people that originate from Spanish-speaking countries. That means Spain is an obvious yes, but places like Brazil and Haiti, where they speak Portuguese and French or Creole, well, they aren't included. Instead, according to dictionary.com, they can be considered Latino, which classifies people who descend from Latin American countries, but whose language isn't necessarily Spanish. Latino was a term that started showing up on official U.S. documents in the 1990s. According to the Pew Research Center, many Americans felt that the term was only highlighting people who descend from Spain. According to their data, the two terms were used interchangeably and appeared next to each other for the first time on the 2000 census. Now, with the 2020 census here, they have many more options for self-identifying. It's the overlap between Hispanic and Latino communities where most countries fall. Places like Mexico, Puerto Rico, Argentina, and Cuba. So what about Latinx? Well, according to Spanish grammar rules, Latinos can be a group of Latin men or women. And Latino refers to a Latin male, while Latina is the feminine version. But Latinx isn't part of the traditional Spanish grammar. But according to Pew Research Center, it's used as a gender-neutral pan-ethnic label. Okay, so now that we've cleared all of that up, why does Hispanic Heritage Month start on September 15th? According to the U.S. Census Bureau, starting in 1968, Congress authorized the president to issue an annual proclamation creating a National Hispanic Heritage Week. It wasn't until the late 1980s that an entire month was dedicated to the celebration. And during that month, we honor the contributions of Americans whose roots stem from Spain, Mexico, Central America, South America, and the Spanish-speaking nations of the Caribbean. That means Latinos and Hispanic Americans are included.
All right, so let's take a second to talk about Latino voters. They are going to be a crucial part of the upcoming election, making up the largest group of eligible non-white voters. NBC News, The Wall Street Journal, and Telemundo polled eligible Latino voters and found 62% say they would vote for Joe Biden. 26% said they would vote for President Trump. But this poll shows Latino support for the Democratic nominee is not as strong as it was in 2016. 4 years ago, Hillary Clinton was polling strongly among Latino voters, with support from 63% of registered voters compared to President Trump's 16%. About 32 million Latino Americans are eligible to vote in the upcoming election.
Next at 9, growing pressure for a Democrat to drop out of the race for the U.S. Senate seat here in Georgia, why members of his own party want him to reconsider.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Prime Time, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough.
The topic of COVID-19 testing can be a tricky one for parents. Some of you may be asking at what point should be getting your kids tested. Tara Campbell spoke with a pediatric expert to get some answers.
Hannah Weibel's taken her boys to be tested for COVID-19 a couple of times.
So they weren't super happy about it. They were a little scared.
She's still unclear whether it was the right move.
Because they started to feel sick and we were like, oh my gosh, is this COVID? Is it allergies? Is it a common cold? Like, what is going on?
Questions a lot of parents have. So when exactly does it make sense to get your kid tested?
Kids who have new cough, new shortness of breath, loss of smell and taste, those are the big symptoms. And so kids who have any of those, we would consider for testing pretty much right away.
Those are the 4 big symptoms to watch out for.
Other symptoms, if you're talking about nasal congestion or headache or sore throat or some of those other things that might be cold, then we have to look a little bit more closely at which symptoms you have.
But if any of those 4 big symptoms pop up, the doctor says it makes sense to get tested.
In Nebraska, we have the capability of testing kids who are symptomatic, pretty much whether or not they've been exposed.
And as far as exposure goes, if it's significant, they're staying home, symptoms or not.
Significant exposure is less than 6 feet away for more than 15 minutes. And so someone who's been in that situation where they've been exposed to someone with COVID needs to quarantine for 14 days.
And if you end up taking your child for a test, the doctor has some advice.
But it really helps those of us who have to do the testing if the kids are not super scared before they come. So it's okay to tell them, we're going to go get this test. You know, it's going to be a Q-tip in your nose. It's going to be fast and over with.
11 Alive News Primetime on the ATL starts now.
Well, the passing of Justice Ginsburg has now sparked a political firestorm as Republicans and Democrats wrangle over her successor.
It's also increased the pressure for some Democrats running for the U.S. Senate in Georgia to pull out of the race and endorse the front runner. 11 Alive's Doug Richards explains.
There are 2 U.S. Senate races before Georgia voters this fall. But the November winner of the special election jungle primary race could take office later this year, before the next Congress is seated in January. And Georgia Democrats would like their frontrunner to have a shot at doing that.
As really things hang in the balance with the death of Justice Ginsburg.
Teresa Tomlinson wants her fellow Democrats to unify around U.S. Senate candidate Raphael Warnock. And she's not alone. Political newcomer Matt Lieberman is running for the same seat. So is former state senator Ed Tarver. But go to Lieberman's own Facebook page, and there is comment after comment imploring him to please drop out and support Warnock. Tomlinson lost the Democratic primary in June for Georgia's other U.S. Senate race.
This is a critical moment, and we do need both Ed Tarver, who's a dear friend and someone I greatly respect, to call on his supporters to support Raphael Warnock, and Matt Lieberman needs to do the same.
The special election will have 21 names on the ballot with no political parties attached. Polls have shown the top 4 contenders to be 2 Republicans, Senator Kelly Loeffler and Congressman Doug Collins, plus Democrats Warnock and Lieberman. If any candidate can get 50% plus 1 of the vote November 3rd, that candidate would win without a January runoff. Collins and Loeffler are likely to split much of the Republican vote. Democrats are calling for Lieberman to withdraw, saying doing so would give his fellow Democrat Warnock a better shot at winning the election in November with no runoff.
When you've got 21 candidates in the race, there's no way one of them's going to get 50%.
Lieberman told us he thinks he'll actually win the election, even though he's raising less money than Warnock and the 2 Republicans.
I think I'm the best position to win. So,
but you don't have the money that they have.
More than money, message matters, and people are watching this campaign and making up their minds. It's a democracy. It's how it's supposed to work.
Tomlinson told me she's a little fearful that the 2 top Republicans could actually make the runoff if Democrats don't coalesce around Warnock now. That said, all 21 candidates will be on the ballot. The absentee ballots have already gone to the printer.
And you'll find everything to ensure your vote counts on 11alive.com/vote. It is your one-stop hub for information about checking your registration, applying for absentee ballots, important election dates, and more. You'll find it all on 11alive.com and our 11 Alive app.
A fraternity at the University of Georgia has now suspended itself over racist and sexist remarks made on an online group message. University of Interfraternity Council confirms Lambda Chi Alpha's operations have been suspended indefinitely. The council also says is working on to hold that organization and individuals accountable. Accused of charging at deputies with a knife and blowtorch, according to the Oconee County Sheriff's Office, the woman was tased and shot by deputies responding to a domestic incident. The Sheriff's Office says deputies on scene rendered aid to the woman, but she did not survive. No deputies were hurt during that shooting. White County mourning the death of a deputy who died after a long battle with COVID-19. White County's Animal Control Division Chief Joey Kastner died from COVID-19 complications. He was just 36 years old. A Facebook post says he spent many weeks in the hospital battling the virus. Kastner joined White County's team in 2013 and worked his way up the division to division chief. All 7 candidates running in a special election for the late John Lewis's seat suspended their campaigns for half the day to address claims of voter suppression in Fulton County. The candidates joined concerned black clergy of Metro Atlanta today, raising awareness for the long lines we saw during the primaries, with some waiting hours to cast their vote. As a solution, the Fulton County Board of Elections says it's adding 40 new polling stations or polling locations. The county says this will allow for better social distancing and shorter wait times.
I'm meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11 Live Storm Trackers. I'm on right now with about 400 people on Facebook Live, and I just asked the question, do you think today should have been an 11 or a 10? We gave it a 10 just because it's a little bit below the average and not quite a perfect day, but a whole bunch of people on here, a big-time majority, almost everybody that is commenting is saying today should have been an 11 on the Wizometer. Now, it is dry. We don't have any rain out there right now. Where we have beautiful weather, it's very cool. In fact, someone else just set up around Lake Lanier that they have their first fire in their fire pit, their new fire pit. So, yeah. Beautiful weather for people to enjoy, even though it is on the cool side. We're also watching Tropical Storm Beta. That is this storm right here. It is moving inland right now. Officially, the Hurricane Center is saying this is still about to make landfall, but I'm really thinking the center of circulation is crossing over land right here and is going to continue moving inland a little bit, and then it's going to take a hard right turn and move up the coast. It may even go out over water again and make a second landfall over in Louisiana over the next couple of days. It's going to be a slow mover, bringing a lot of rain in on the Texas coast. Now, take a look at our temperatures, talking about how nice it is out there. We are in the lower 60s at this hour, where we have 62 degrees here in town. We have 50s, though, up in Carrollton, Marietta, Canton, Gainesville, Athens, Eatonton. On the south side, some 50s. 50s on the north side too, so it's really cool out there right now. Here's what we're watching over the next 12 hours. It's going to stay cool. By tomorrow morning, we're going to be in the low to mid 50s with mostly clear skies, just a couple little high thin clouds around. Tomorrow, another nice day. First day of fall as fall arrives at 9:31 in the morning. And then some changes are going to be moving our way for the end of the week. And it's all thanks to the remnants of beta. We'll talk about those rain chances coming up. More on that in just a few minutes.
All right, Chris, we'll see you in a couple of minutes, sir. Another about face from the CDC. It posted a new guidance that COVID-19 can be spread by simply breathing. They have since taken it down off of their website. The CDC says a draft version of its updated recommendation was posted by mistake. The CDC says new information will be issued soon. It has since removed it all from the website. Now, the new guidance posted on December 18th warned that COVID-19 most commonly spreads through respiratory droplets created when an infected person coughs, sneezes, sings, talks, or here's the part that we're talking about, breathes. Those particles can be inhaled by someone in close contact, passing on the virus. It also warns there is evidence those droplets can remain suspended in the air and travel beyond 6 feet. That would be in line with what the head of the CDC said last week, stating wearing masks is the most guaranteed way to stop the spread of COVID-19, even above a vaccine. Last week, the CDC changed its recommendations about asymptomatic testing. Meanwhile, we had a fairly average day of testing for COVID-19 in Georgia, which is good news considering about 1,200 new positive cases were reported. 18 to 29-year-olds continue to lead here, making up about 22% of the new cases reported today alone. A positive sign here, folks, the number of people who died from the virus has fallen dramatically. 2 new deaths were reported today. While that number is typically low coming out of the weekend, it hasn't been this low in more than a month.
I'm Reveal investigator Rebecca Lindstrom. The worst outcome from COVID is death. But there is debate over whether the numbers are really telling the whole story. Are they too high or even underreported? What would you say killed your father?
I would definitely say COVID killed my father.
COVID is listed on his death certificate. So is pneumonia. Frank also had high blood pressure and an irregular heartbeat. In the COVID data, he is one of those listed with underlying health conditions. But Felicia says people need to understand none of that caused his death.
I need people to know that this is real. This life taking is real. This hurt is real. This pain is real. His absence is real.
Tonight at 11, we'll look back on the past to see what the data can really tell us now about COVID's deadly impact on our community.
As of this morning, Fulton County school students are now back in the classroom for 1 day a week. They're still learning virtually the other 4 days, with plans to return to the classrooms full time in less than a month. Joe Henke talked with teachers who say they're concerned that timeline is too quick.
The teachers I talked with today say they want to be teaching their kids full-time in the classroom, but they also need to be able to make sure that everyone stays as safe as possible. And in the past, they have seen just how quickly a virus can spread inside of a school. The Fulton County School District welcomed back students district-wide this morning for what is being called Phase 3 of the district's return to school timeline. Students who choose this option are now in the classroom 1 day per week and learning online the rest of the week. By October 5th, the plan is to allow students in class 2 days per week. And by October 14th, return to in-person learning full-time, but with families still having the option of choosing virtual learning.
We know as educators that schools are super spreaders.
Fulton County High School teacher Jerome Dunson says he believes the COVID-19 numbers in Fulton are still too high for students to soon return to classrooms full time. He is worried a COVID-19 outbreak in a community could be sparked by the return.
Starts in the schools, elementary to middle to high school, and once it gets to high schools in the community. So you couple that with the fact with the pandemic, you know, we could potentially have a huge outbreak based on kids coming back to school.
Last week, a group of Fulton County school teachers penned an open letter calling the district's timeline for face-to-face instruction reckless and adding it flies in the face of the Georgia Department of Public Health's established standards for preventing the further transmission of this deadly virus. A statement released to 11 Alive by the district, though, claimed Fulton County has followed a series of slow and cautious steps driven by data to bring students back to our ultimate goal of returning to face-to-face instruction. And to read a full version of that letter from Fulton County school teachers, as well as the full statement for the Fulton County School District, just click on this story right now on 11alive.com.
Fulton County teachers are also expressing concern tonight about an email the superintendent sent out to staffers last week. They say it contained an inappropriate link. Now, the email was supposed to address managing expectations. Staffers say one of the links included an adult film star's relationship advice. What the district says it was an incorrect link, and it was soon discovered a revised message was later sent out. You can find breakdowns of Georgia's latest coronavirus numbers as well as updates on how schools and communities are responding to the virus. It's all on the 11 Alive app.
A local couple celebrating a big anniversary in the answer to their family's prayers. Chuck and Nancy Palula's 40th anniversary, an especially meaningful one as they recover from COVID-19. Their entire family got sick when the pandemic first hit Georgia, and Chuck was in the ICU and on a ventilator for more than 6 weeks. He was finally able to come home and celebrate with his bride.
They said I wasn't doing too good for a long time, and like I said, now to be back, I'm getting good shape, and having the family around it was really, really great for me.
And he was released from the hospital just in time to welcome his newest grandchild, a little girl named Charlie, after him.
Well, he's a master of light and emotion, beautifully documenting some of the happiest times in many couples' lives. And tonight, Atlanta's famed wedding photographer Dennis Reggie reflects on one of his most iconic images.
And don't forget, we are streaming right now on the 11 Alive YouTube channel. If you'd like to catch us there and take us on the go, hit us up, and also be sure to subscribe and join the conversation in the community section. More 11 Alive news in prime time coming right up.
On daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Prime Time, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19.
Today, Attorney General William Barr and the president's advisor and daughter Ivanka Trump were in Atlanta. They highlighted efforts to combat human trafficking. They also announced a $100 million grant.
I'm very proud that these resources are going to help law enforcement officers and victim services providers hold perpetrators accountable and give the victims of these crimes a place to turn for refuge and support.
The FBI flagged Atlanta as one of the top 14 U.S. cities for trafficking cases. Ivanka Trump previously visited the state in support of anti-trafficking efforts. She says the recent recovery of 39 missing and exploited children is an example of Georgia's work paying off.
Operation Not Forgotten was just remarkable. So to have that many children, 39 in total between identified and rescued, have an ability to start their life anew with the resources that we'll be able to provide them, working with state and local partners and the NGO community and the private sector is extraordinary.
Ending human trafficking remains a focus for Governor Brian Kemp and Georgia's First Lady Marty. They've introduced several measures, including a statewide training initiative. Last month, their Grace Commission partnered with media mogul Tyler Perry's for a PSA urging Georgians to help fight human trafficking. There were 417 human trafficking cases reported in Georgia last year, according to the National Human Trafficking Hotline. More than 300 of those involved sex trafficking. 333 involved females. If you suspect trafficking, call the National Hotline. That number you see there on your screen, 888-373-7888. Or you can also send a text to that number there. Both are free and available 24/7.
I'm meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11 Alive Storm Trackers. You see my phone here in the shot because we're still talking with just under 200 people on Facebook Live, having a great conversation. I mentioned earlier, a lot of folks were giving their opinions on whether today was a 10 or an 11 on the wasometer. A big time majority of people, like probably 95%, said yes, today should have been an 11 on the wasometer, even though it was cooler than average. We are now talking, Patty Timmons is asking, will we have any more 90s? I don't think we're finished with the warm weather yet, and I wouldn't be surprised if we still have some more 90s around. Remember last September, this time last year, we had all those days in a row of 90s and a lot of record-breaking temperatures. This September, a lot different. First day of fall tomorrow, and it feels like fall out there. We have dry weather, nice and cool here. Of course, we are watching what is happening with Tropical Storm Beta. We don't have an official notice from the Hurricane Center yet of a landfall, but it looks to me like the center of the storm has made landfall here along the coast of Texas, bringing in a lot of rain. It's a really slow mover, and it's going to continue moving slowly back up the coastline. Take a look at these temperatures around North Georgia right now. 62 in town. We do have some 50s, though. Over in Athens, it's 58. 57 in Carrollton. Look at Covington right now, cooler at 54. That's the same temperature in Covington as it is up in Clayton, up in the mountains. And we also have 59 in Canton right now. 60s, though, in Rome and also into areas of northwest Georgia near Dalton. Watch these temperatures falling through the 50s, lower to mid 50s here early in the morning with just a couple little high thin clouds around. Nothing really big as far as the cloud cover tomorrow. We're going to go with a 10 again tomorrow. Again, I know that a lot of you think it's perfect, but we will see a few more clouds building in. Temperature still below average, getting up to about 74 degrees. Good bit of sunshine with just a few of those clouds. In fact, here's the forecast track. Dry weather, easterly flow tonight. Tomorrow, mostly sunny. Once we get into the late afternoon hours, maybe just a few high thin clouds coming in, but then those clouds are going to be increasing during the day on Wednesday. I still don't think we're going to have rain here on Wednesday, but just an increase in that cloud cover ahead of the moisture in association with what is left of Beta. That will give us a higher rain chance once we get into Thursday. So here's Beta right now, right there on the coastline of Texas. It's moving inland tonight. It's going to take a sharp turn. This may actually go back out over water and make another landfall in Louisiana on Wednesday night into Thursday, and then moving inland, losing its strength, becoming just a remnant low in northern Mississippi on Friday afternoon. So what does this mean for us? Well, we're right over here. This is going to be bringing in a lot of Gulf moisture again, and that's going to increase our rain chances for Thursday and also on Friday. So Wednesday, you see here that cloud cover increasing. And then here comes the moisture on Thursday. Showers will be pushing in, and then a better coverage of showers on Friday. Some of those could have some pockets of heavy rain with them with some pretty impressive rainfall amounts. And then moisture lingering into Saturday as well before we hopefully start drying out later in the day on Sunday. So here's the 7-day outlook showing 74 for a high on the first day of fall. Not too bad. Going to be a really nice day with mostly sunny skies. Wednesday, clouds on the increase. Then we'll see that rain chance coming in Thursday at 60%, 60% also on Friday, 40% Saturday and Sunday with temperatures back up to around 80 degrees, and then drying out more by Monday with only a 20% chance for a shower.
Well, he is the reigning world superstar of wedding photography, one of Atlanta's most celebrated experts. I guess you can consider this guy the Tom Brady of photography. Jeff Hullinger has his story.
Dennis Reggie lives near Chastain Park, and he is considered the greatest wedding photographer on the planet. Today, an anniversary. September 21st, 1996, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette Kennedy were married in a private ceremony off the coast of Georgia on Cumberland Island. Dennis Reggie was there with his camera.
My little tiny company had 4 weddings that night all over the country, so I worked it out where I could fly down myself. I just wrote the word Jacksonville, which is where I flew to.
His photo of John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette was credited by the Wall Street Journal as the 20th century watershed image that transformed wedding photography forever.
I showed up that weekend, and Little did I know that that photograph would take on a life of its own, cover of Life magazine, photo of the year, and such.
Did Mr. Reggie know when he took the picture it would live in perpetuity?
So my mission was one picture, tell the story of this secret private wedding to the world, I brought it to the Associated Press in Atlanta to send it up to the satellites, and as they say, the rest was history. But that one to me had the right spirit.
For all of his worldwide acclaim, Mr. Reggie will always be associated with Cumberland Island and JFK Jr. Mr. Reggie's extraordinary pictures are now part of the permanent collection at the National Museum of American History.
This is a hot topic. A last-minute deal reached over TikTok in the U.S. The change is coming to the app as a result. Next.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Prime Time, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to
If you or your children have been on the internet today, you may have noticed that the app TikTok, it is still there, up and running. The app was supposed to be shut down at midnight, but the company averted a last-minute shutdown with a new deal involving Oracle and Walmart. NBC's Tom Costello reports.
With a massive global audience, TikTok is a staple of pop culture. A place where users create and discover viral videos. In this country alone, more than 100 million TikTokers, many teenagers or even younger. A critical audience that's paying close attention.
We are here for you, and we are here for the long run.
TikTok's partnership with Oracle and Walmart receiving tentative approval from President Trump, allowing the Beijing-based app to avoid a U.S. shutdown for now.
I have given the deal my blessing.
The high-profile shift would likely place TikTok's headquarters in Texas. TikTok, owned by the Chinese tech company ByteDance, says it hopes the move will maintain and expand its global headquarters in the U.S. while bringing 25,000 jobs. In the deal, ByteDance would maintain majority ownership in the new TikTok Global, with Oracle and Walmart holding a 20% share. Walmart would also introduce e-commerce to the app, allowing users to shop Walmart online through TikTok.
It'll look the same when you turn it on or your kids turn it on tomorrow. The question is,
will it get worse? And does this group of people make it better?
With Oracle taking over its American operations to safeguard users' data. Oracle, whose chairman held a fundraiser earlier this year for President Trump, announcing it will operate TikTok systems in the Oracle cloud, a major step following concern about user data being shared with the Chinese government.
It will have nothing to do with China. It'll be totally secure.
But some experts are still concerned.
It's not clear how American information is protected. It's not clear how they couldn't just do this by going public and becoming an American company.
President Trump is seeking money from this deal, reportedly $5 billion to help fund a new patriotic education platform. Well, it is legal to use medical marijuana in Georgia, but COVID-19 is making it even more complicated to actually buy it here. We're verifying the facts when it comes to patients and their medicine.
And we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we...
Thousands of medically fragile people are still quarantined at home because of this pandemic. Now, some of them say that they can't stay in Georgia anymore because they can't access the medicine they need.
A family contacted 11 Alive because they think medical marijuana is the only way to save their son's life, but say they still can't legally buy it here in the state. Caitlin Ross went to verify if these families have any other option.
Georgia passed a law in 2015 that allowed people with certain medical conditions to ingest medical marijuana. Angel Salter's son Dylan was one of the first people in the state to get a medical marijuana card. She says it was life-changing for him.
When he's able to access the proper strain of cannabis, the proper amount of cannabis, it stops his seizures. It helps his pain.
Dylan is 22 and suffers from severe and life-threatening seizures. Angel says medical marijuana is the only thing that helps.
We've tried every pharmaceutical that we could possibly try, and they didn't help. They made things worse. This is our last resort. It works, and we have no access.
To verify, we looked at Georgia's current law. Last April, Governor Kemp signed a bill to legalize medical marijuana production and distribution. Late last year, the governor set up the Georgia Access to Medical Cannabis Coalition to figure out how to run the medical marijuana business in the state. But they only met once before the pandemic hit. So when it comes down to the law right now, is it legal to buy medical marijuana in Georgia? We went directly to the source, the State Department of Health resource page on the drug, and the answer is in black and white. No, you cannot buy marijuana in Georgia. So we can verify that's true. There's still no legal way to get medical marijuana in Georgia. And that makes it tough on families like Angel's, whose son's condition is getting worse.
It's beyond frustrating because it's life or death for my son.
In May, the state hired a new executive director for the Georgia Access to Medical Cannabis Coalition, who seems hopeful they'll be able to make progress soon. In a statement, Andrew Turnage says, "We have one goal, and that's to get oil for families in need. Think about families that have struggled to have their basic needs met during this pandemic. We have families in Georgia that have struggled for years to get this basic need, low THC oil, and our task will be to ensure that they receive it."
If you have something you want us to verify, send an email to verify@11alive.com.
I'm meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11 Alive Storm Trackers. We are watching the winds in association with this storm Beta that is moving ashore right now, making landfall in Texas. Max winds are at about 45 miles an hour. And you can see these winds, though, that are moving into Texas, and then even gusty winds here well away from the center of the storm over in parts of Louisiana and also along the coastline here of Florida, Alabama, and also Mississippi, with those winds that are pretty gusty there along that part, where they're also getting some rain moving in as well. Take a look at the bigger picture. Let me show you what we're watching right now. Not only do we have those winds that are in association with that storm, but we're going to see the rain that's going to be moving our way too. I really don't expect to see much in the form of winds here once the system moves our way, but we will see some of that rain. In fact, take a look at the moisture. As I mentioned, we have the wind along the coast here through Louisiana and the Florida Panhandle. These areas seeing some rain too. Most of this rain is right here along with the center, and even though we don't have an official statement from the Hurricane Center yet, I'm thinking that this has made landfall right now, as we can see that center of circulation moving in over land. But a lot of rain coming into Texas. Some of that is going to spread our way. As you can see here, the blue purple colors, that's indicating very dry air. That's what we have over us right now, but all of the moisture, and a lot of it, is out in the Gulf Coast region through Louisiana, also Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, back into Texas, where that storm is making landfall. Eventually this moisture is going to move our way. I'm going to put this animation on for you coming up in just a few minutes, so you'll be able to watch that moisture that's moving into our area, which will eventually increase our rain chances.
You know, there are concerns about the idea of more COVID-19 cases as the weather gets colder out there, but do lower temperatures really make you sick? Our sister station out of Houston is now connecting the dots for us.
There has been a lot of concern about a second wave of coronavirus when the cold weather hits. But do chillier temperatures really make you sick? Let's connect the dots. The short answer is no. Despite what your mother told you, cold weather doesn't make you sick. Viruses do. But some side effects of the winter months could help those viruses spread. Some research has shown that rhinoviruses, also known as the common cold, prefer colder temperatures, replicating easier when winter hits. Same thing with the flu. Researchers believe it can survive and spread easier in the cold. The winter months can also take a toll on your immune system. People tend to spend less time outdoors, meaning they get less vitamin D from sunlight. It plays an essential role in keeping your immune system healthy. Also, thanks to staying indoors, you tend to be in close proximity to other people, allowing viruses to spread. But there is some good news about this winter. All the precautions we are taking to stop the spread of coronavirus, mask wearing, social distancing, and hand washing, can help stop cold and flu as well. In fact, countries in the southern hemisphere, where winter is coming to an end, report much smaller flu outbreaks this year.
Do you have questions about the upcoming flu season? Well, we want to get those answers for you. Just text your question to the number on your screen right there, and we're taking some of the most asked questions to 11 Alive medical correspondent Sujatha Reddy later on this week. Once again, just text those questions to 404-885-7600.
Tonight, Atlanta Falcons owner Arthur Blank is reflecting on the deep friendship he shared with the late Congressman and civil rights icon John Lewis. 11 Alive's Chesley McNeil has more.
You are in a city where civil rights is at the helm. You speak about it in your book. You've been shoulder to shoulder with some of our leaders. I saw you at John Lewis's funeral. Tell me what he meant to you.
You know, I miss John. I see him in my mind almost every day because there are circumstances that we are all living with and experiencing that brings those thoughts and minds back to us. And so I appreciate it. My children knew John Lewis too, and they had great affection, really great, very great love for him as well. And one of the things that John Lewis always said to me, and people sometimes say, well, my vote doesn't count, but the whole notion of voting, I mean, he felt so powerfully strong about that. He said, if people want to understand the most significant nonviolent protest they can make, it's by voting, going out and voting. Because then if you don't vote, you can't really complain about who's in office. If you do vote, you have a chance of getting who you want to be in office. And I think that's very powerful. And so John was, the notion of good trouble, the notion of, looking for good trouble, creating good trouble, staying in good trouble, not bad trouble. So, it's the same thing that Dr. King wrote about in his last book, which wasn't published till a year after he passed away by his wife, Coretta Scott King, community or chaos. And Dr. King always chose community. And I think John Lewis always chose community, always chose, good trouble didn't mean violence, it meant nonviolence. And it meant doing it in a way that was going to be effective. And so, my relationship with him could not have been better. Every time I was with him, I felt I was walking with a giant. America will miss him, but hopefully, like in all of us that pass on, that the best parts of us stay, and the best parts of us are carried on by other people and carried on into the future. And I think with John Lewis, that'll be the case.
The fight is on right now with Senate Republicans promising to vote on a new Supreme Court justice. Less than 45 days before the election, 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks, and we are going to hear from you.
And we want to send you to break with some good news. The Atlanta Humane Society rescued nearly 200 cats from an Alabama shelter damaged by Hurricane Sally. The Safe Harbor Animal Coalition, a cat-only rescue organization, reached out to Atlanta. A total of 197 cats brought here. The cats were examined by a veterinarian, and the shelter will make an announcement when they are ready to be adopted.
Here on 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Prime Time, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Days after her death, people all across our country are gathering to remember and mourn the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Flowers are spread all in front of the U.S. Supreme Court, and marches taking place in several cities with people promising they will not ever forget her legacy. She was the second woman appointed to the nation's highest court, and she will be the first woman to lie in state at the U.S. Capitol. 11 Alive's Hope Ford was there as people gathered outside the state Supreme Court last night, and they hope her passing becomes a call to action.
A blow of the shofar, a horn, part of the Jewish tradition during Rosh Hashanah, used here to pay tribute to Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
A very big part of Judaism is justice and searching for justice and fighting for justice. It's actually part of our faith. And so Ruth was a Jew who lived her life exactly as we should.
Many people pointed to Ginsburg's passing on the holiest of Jewish holidays as a sign to keep fighting for things she believed in.
This is really the beginning of a revolution, for social justice in this country.
Though the crowd wanted to honor the late justice, they also called out the back and forth between Republicans and Democrats. President Trump already said he wants to nominate a woman to replace Ginsburg, and he wants to do it sooner rather than later.
We said that if for any reason we have a vacancy on the United States Supreme Court, we will fill that vacancy.
But Democrats like presidential candidate Joe Biden say it's better to wait until after the election.
To jam this nomination through the Senate is just an exercise in raw political power.
She said her most fervent wish was that she not be replaced until a new president was in office.
With her vacant seat now a battle between political parties, this crowd says they're inspired more than ever to vote and make change.
I think it's just really important that people be bold and take a stand and they have conversations about this.
Here are 3 things you need to know right now. A 5-day bike fest drew tens of thousands of people from all around the U.S. to the Lake of the Ozarks, despite the pandemic. Local health officials fear the event could be a super spreader of the coronavirus. A similar North Dakota rally in August was linked to outbreaks in at least 8 states. People who attended the bike fest said they were not worried about getting sick and did not wear face coverings. Tomorrow is National Voter Registration Day. Foot Locker says it's getting on board to help target youth voters. The athletic retailer is joining forces with Rock the Vote to offer voter registration services. So starting tomorrow, Foot Locker customers can sign up in more than 2,000 stores, including the Kids and Lady Foot Locker stores, as well as Champs and Foot Action. CEO Richard Johnson says the plan is to inspire and empower youth culture. Tropical storm Beta is heading toward parts of the Lone Star State. Beta is expected to make landfall along Texas's central or upper Gulf Coast today with 60-mile-per-hour winds. The storm is not expected to reach hurricane strength, but up to 15 inches of rain could fall in some areas.
Yeah, an update on that story. It's 45-mile-an-hour winds right now coming into the coastline. It's weakened a little bit. It's making landfall right now along the Texas coast. I'm going to show that to you here after you see the dry weather that we have right now in our area. And moisture coming in off the coast of Louisiana, also the northern Gulf Coast region, parts of Mississippi, Alabama, Florida had some rain today. They don't need any more rain. They're only going to get more, though, coming in. And that's because of this. As Beta is making landfall since 5 o'clock, the winds have been down to 45 miles an hour. Still, those winds that are just above tropical storm strength as it moves inland right now. As it moves inland, it's going to take a turn to the right and then move up along the coast, might go back out over water and then make another landfall over Louisiana, as it's going to be hugging the coastline here for the next few days. And that's just going to be spreading a lot of rain along the coast as well. Take a look at what else we're watching out there at this hour. And this is what I showed you a few minutes ago about that purple and blue color indicating the really dry air over Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee. The moisture, the oranges and reds that you see here, that's indicating more of the moisture as far as rain that's coming down. And watch what happens over the next couple of days. We're going to stay dry on Tuesday. Wednesday, dry at the surface, but a few more clouds are going to start building in, and then eventually that's going to change over into some rain coming in on Thursday, scattered showers, better chance for showers here as we get into Friday, and then even a few showers will linger into the weekend before we get another surge of drier air coming in for the second half of the weekend and into Monday as well. So here's a look at the dew points. That's another indicator of the moisture in the atmosphere, and it's been so dry, which is great. Not a lot of humidity around with dew points in the 40s and 50s, but then as that moisture starts to come back our way, we see these dew points rising back up to oppressive levels on Saturday as we're going to be dealing with those rain chances. High today, 72 degrees. That is about 9 degrees below average. We should be at 81 for this time of year. So yeah, this is not normal to see temperatures that are this cool in September. Last year in September, we were still having 90-degree heat. Our low this morning was 10 degrees below average at 53. We should be at 63 for this time of year. The record high today, 95. That was back in the 1920s. No rain. And then we're still dealing with the surplus of about 5¼ inches above where we should be in rainfall for the year. Feeling like fall out there as fall officially begins tomorrow at 9:31. We're tracking Beta and then eventually the remnants of Beta that will start to spread more moisture our way, and we'll see our rain chances going up once we get toward the end of the week. So watch these temperatures. 62 now, 58 in Athens, 54 in Covington. The hour by hour shows that tomorrow we start off in those 50s again, getting up to lower 60s at lunchtime. Lower to mid 70s tomorrow. There will be some spots depending on the sunshine and those high clouds mixing in. That'll get us up to about 73 degrees for a high. In fact, I'm going to go for 74 for high temperature with a 10 on the wasometer. Mostly sunny skies, but a few high thin clouds coming in later in the day, and then more of an increase in our cloud cover on Wednesday with highs near 76, and then rain chances higher Thursday, also on Friday, and then back down to 40% Saturday. Depending on what I see with the models tomorrow, I may bring those rain chances back down a little bit more for Sunday and into Monday. Drier weather too, with high temperatures upper 70s to right around 80 degrees.
Coming up, it's Hispanic Heritage Month, and we're taking a closer look at the culture here in the U.S. and how Hispanic voters view the presidential candidates.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Prime Time, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you. We hear you.
We're almost 1 week into Hispanic Heritage Month, and in the U.S., Hispanics account for about 18.5% of the population, making them the largest racial or ethnic minority. So we wanted to share some very important information about people who identify as part of the Hispanic community. Throughout history, labels like Latino, Hispanic, and Spanish have kicked up a lot of debates about identity. Ariane Detil with our sister station in D.C. is breaking it down.
Latino, Hispanic, Latinx, and Spanish. Who claims which label? Great question. Throughout history, those terms have been used to kick up debates about identity in these communities. However, today, according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, the general definition of Hispanic refers to all people that originate from Spanish-speaking countries. That means Spain is an obvious yes, but places like Brazil and Haiti, where they speak Portuguese and French or Creole, well, they aren't included. Instead, according to dictionary.com, they can be considered Latino, which classifies people who descend from Latin American countries, but whose language isn't necessarily Spanish. Latino was a term that started showing up on official U.S. documents in the 1990s. According to the Pew Research Center, many Americans felt that the term was only highlighting people who descend from Spain. According to their data, the two terms were used interchangeably and appeared next to each other for the first time on the 2000 census. Now, with the 2020 census here, they have many more options for self-identifying. It's the overlap between Hispanic and Latino communities where most countries fall. Places like Mexico, Puerto Rico, Argentina, and Cuba. So what about Latinx? Well, according to Spanish grammar rules, Latinos can be a group of Latin men or women. And Latino refers to a Latin male, while Latina is the feminine version. But Latinx isn't part of the traditional Spanish grammar. But according to Pew Research Center, it's used as a gender-neutral pan-ethnic label. Okay, so now that we've cleared all of that up, why does Hispanic Heritage Month start on September 15th? According to the U.S. Census Bureau, starting in 1968, Congress authorized the president to issue an annual proclamation creating a National Hispanic Heritage Week. It wasn't until the late 1980s that an entire month was dedicated to the celebration. And during that month, we honor the contributions of Americans whose roots stem from Spain, Mexico, Central America, South America, and the Spanish-speaking nations of the Caribbean. That means Latinos and Hispanic Americans are included.
All right, so let's take a quick second to talk about those Latino voters. They're going to be a crucial part of this upcoming election, making up the largest group of eligible non-white voters. So NBC News and the Wall Street Journal and Telemundo polled eligible Latino voters and found 62% say they would vote for Joe Biden. 26% say they're going to vote for President Trump. But this poll shows Latino support for the Democratic nominee is not as strong as it was back in 2016. 4 years ago, Hillary Clinton was polling strongly among Latino voters, with support from 63% of registered voters compared to President Trump's 16%. About 32 million Latino Americans are eligible to vote in the upcoming election. By the way, as Election Day approaches, here's some really important dates you want to mark in your calendars here, folks. October 5th is the last day you can register to vote in the November election. Then a week later, early in-person voting begins. So if you want to vote by absentee, if you have already requested a ballot by October 30th, and then Tuesday, November 3rd is Election Day, and you can find those dates and other key dates on the 11alive.com/vote. Our voter guide gives you a list of other resources to help you secure your vote.
Fall officially arrives tomorrow morning at 9:31 with the autumnal equinox, and it's going to feel like fall. 74 for a high, 76 Wednesday with clouds increasing. Then the rain moves in Thursday into Friday. Scattered showers diminishing later in the weekend with temperatures back up to around 80 degrees.
All right, we'll see you on our sister station, 11 Alive at 11 for Upload.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Prime Time, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
Alive News Primetime on the ATL starts now.
Tonight at 10, a woman armed with a blowtorch and a knife shot and killed by deputies. We're breaking down what happened and why the CDC rolled back a message it released about the spread of COVID-19. Plus, the tributes to Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and the possible picks with Georgia ties to replace her on the nation's highest court. First tonight at 10 on this Monday, a domestic dispute turns deadly when a woman charges sheriff's deputies armed with a knife and a blowtorch. Tracy Amick-Pierre brings us the very latest from Oconee County.
So I was wondering what's going on when I saw the crime tape, because we haven't seen anything like that before.
Carrie Roberts lives in the Highland Oaks neighborhood in Oconee County, where Monday morning deputies were called out to a domestic dispute on Creekview Court. The sheriff's office says a woman with a blowtorch and knife charged at the deputies. They used a taser on her and shot her. The deputies tried to revive her, but the woman died at the scene. The sheriff's office says the man involved in the domestic dispute was hurt but will be okay. Roberts says she's sad it went so far.
It's happened a few times. They get very violent, yelling and screaming at each other usually, and just, well, I'm leaving, and then they'll leave and come back and it'll start right up again.
The GBI is investigating this case. Those investigators are reviewing the officers' body cameras. They could release those videos as early as Tuesday morning.
Tonight, a small group protested outside the CDC as the death toll from COVID-19 now hits 200,000 in the United States. And it comes as the Federal Health Agency posted, then removed, new guidance on how the virus can spread in the air. Hope Ford is live from the CDC to break down what has been a confusing couple of days.
CDC posted guidance on Friday stating the main way the virus is thought to spread is through airborne transmission, even when an infected person breathes. 3 days later on Monday, the CDC rolled back the message, reporting it was an error. Recently, scientific research and the World Health Organization supported the idea that infected aerosol particles can linger in the air for longer than previously thought.
CDC has been slow on this. There's no question. The science has been unequivocal since early February, and every new piece has further supported that airborne transmission is happening.
The confusion in guidance was questioned by some epidemiologists. For instance, Dr. Eric Finkel-Ding, who is a member of the Federation of American Scientists, believes the changing of the language is censorship. Meanwhile, a group demonstrated outside the CDC Monday night, saying the health agency needs more support as the U.S. marks a grim milestone in the death toll, now hitting over 200,000.
We're standing with scientists, we're standing with public health.
The CDC says they will issue updated guidance soon, but many wonder if it will include language about airborne transmission, which has been thought to contribute to spreading the virus beyond that 6 feet of social distance that's become a mainstay in public health measures. Meanwhile, a fairly average day of testing for COVID in Georgia, which is good news, considering about 1,200 new positive cases were reported. 18 to 29-year-olds continue to lead, making up about 22% of the new cases reported today alone. A positive sign. The number of people who died with the virus has fallen dramatically. 2 new deaths were reported today. While that number is typically low, coming out of the weekend, it hasn't been this low in more than a month. Tonight, we have details of the plans to honor Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who died on Friday night at the age of 87. She was known for groundbreaking civil rights cases involving women, and being one of the court's most outspoken advocates of abortion rights. She died on Friday. In honor of that legacy, Justice Ginsburg will lie in repose Wednesday and Thursday at the U.S. Supreme Court. The public will not be allowed inside. After a small ceremony with family, friends, and fellow justices Wednesday morning, her casket will be placed under the portico of the top of the Supreme Court steps for public viewing. Then, on Friday, she will mark yet another milestone for women. She will lie in state at the National Statuary Hall at the U.S. Capitol, the first woman to ever have that honor. Next week, Ruth Bader Ginsburg will be buried in a private service at Arlington National Cemetery alongside her late husband, Martin Ginsburg. Already the wheels are in motion to replace Justice Ginsburg on the U.S. Supreme Court. The president says he will name his nominee by the end of the week, and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is laying the groundwork for a record speed confirmation. President Trump says that his nominee will be a woman, and a judge with Georgia ties is among his top 2 reported contenders. Judge Barbara Lagoa serves on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit based in Atlanta. She was named in December and moved here less than a year ago. She was the first Hispanic woman to be appointed as a justice of the Supreme Court of Florida and worked on Elian Gonzalez's case pro bono before that. The other woman considered a top tender is federal judge Amy Coney Barrett, who lives in South Bend, Indiana, that area near Chicago, a graduate of Notre Dame. And once the president makes his choice, he is urging Senate Republicans to use their majority power.
The bottom line is we won the election. We have an obligation to do what's right and act as quickly as possible.
The president wants a vote before the election, which is now just 43 days away. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has already promised the Senate will vote on the person nominated by President Trump. Republican Senators Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski have already said they do not support moving ahead prior to the election. It would take 2 more Republican defections to block the nominee. We have more local coverage on the death of Justice Ginsburg on 11alive.com, including reaction from Georgia lawmakers and candidates about efforts to fill her seat on the Supreme Court. Today, Attorney General William Barr, the president's advisor, and daughter Ivanka Trump were in Atlanta. They highlighted efforts to combat human trafficking. They also announced a $100 million grant.
I'm very proud that these resources are going to help law enforcement officers and victim services providers hold perpetrators accountable. And give the victims of these crimes a place to turn for refuge and support.
The FBI flagged Atlanta as one of the top 14 U.S. cities for trafficking cases. Ivanka Trump previously visited the state in support of anti-trafficking efforts. She says the recent recovery of 39 missing and exploited children is an example of Georgia's work paying off.
Operation Not Forgotten was just remarkable. So to have that many children, 39 in total between identified and rescued, have an ability to start their life anew with the resources that we'll be able to provide them, working with state and local partners and the NGO community and the private sector is extraordinary.
Ending human trafficking remains a focus for Governor Kemp and his wife. They have introduced a number of measures, including a statewide training initiative. Last month, their Grace Commission partnered with Tyler Perry for a PSA urging Georgians to help fight human trafficking. There were 417 human trafficking cases reported in our state last year, according to the National Human Trafficking Hotline. More than 300 of those involved sex trafficking, 333 involved females. If you suspect trafficking, you can call the national hotline at 888-373-7888, or you can text at 233733. Both are free and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Coming up next, for the first time, we're hearing from the family of a woman shot and killed on the 4th of July weekend, what they want the public to remember about their loved one.
And we have nice dry weather out there right now, feeling a lot like fall as fall officially arrives tomorrow. But we're going to see some changes moving in this week. And a lot of this has to do with Tropical Storm Beta that's making landfall right now in Texas. I'll talk about the rise in our rain chances.
Depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
We have breaking news. A police shooting is under investigation in southeast Atlanta. The GBI is at the scene on Gladstone Apartments. That's on Burrough Street, and we're working to get you more information right now. We have a crew on their way to that location. We will have the very latest on Update at 11 o'clock on Up Late at 11 o'clock on 11 Alive. All right, we're clear on that. Tonight, for the first time, we are hearing from the family of Erica Robinson. She is the woman killed in the shootout on Auburn Avenue in downtown Atlanta over the July 4th weekend. Last week, police made the first arrest in the case, with several more suspected gunmen still on the run. Robinson's mother and sister tell John Sherrick they want people to know who Erica will always be, and that is someone in their hearts.
She's been so hard.
Erica Robinson's mother, Rosa, and sister Tiffany still in disbelief.
Well, my sister was still supposed to be here.
Tiffany and Rosa unable to imagine their future without Erica. More than 2 months after Erica was killed in downtown Atlanta on Auburn Avenue. It was the July 4th weekend, and after the fireworks, gunfire broke out in the crowd. Erica, 32 years old, advancing in her career with Verizon. She and her mother close, always talking, always together. Rosa can tell you. It was 9:48 p.m. on July 4th when she last spoke with Erica. Erica had called her from the fireworks and tried to tell her mother again not to worry for her.
Now she said, I'm going to live my life, Mom. You know, I'm going to live my life. I don't fear. She said she's not going to live in fear.
Police found video of the shooting from a nearby security camera and last week arrested DeAndre Brown, and detectives are looking for 4 persons of interest. Rosa and Tiffany grieving along with the family of the other person killed in the crowd, 20-year-old Joshua Ingram, as they remember Erica.
She was fun. She liked to have fun. She liked to make you smile. And if you weren't smiling, she was going to make you smile. We were supposed to grow old together.
And we want everybody to remember her name, Erica Robinson, Erica Michelle Robinson.
Justice for her.
Justice for her.
Still in disbelief, now simply appealing to the others in that crowd who fired guns to surrender.
We're expecting a quiet and cool weather period for the next couple of days. Some possible rain at the end of the week. Our chief meteorologist, Chris Holcomb, now joining us with the 7-day forecast. Chris?
Yeah, and Jeff, you know, a lot of that rain chance is going to depend on what happens with the remnants of Beta. Beta is a tropical storm making landfall right now in Texas, and then it's going to take a turn to the north and east, and that's going to spread some of that moisture our way. Right now, though, dry, nothing showing up on radar here as we have mostly clear skies. A few high thin clouds have been pushing in late this evening, coming in from the west. You can see this moisture that's building along the Gulf Coast region here in Louisiana. Some good rain. This is the main system right here. There's the center of the circulation moving inland over Texas right now and continuing to move in, and then as it comes over land, it's actually going to take a sharp right turn and move up toward the north and east, and it's going to hang out here, we think, inland right along the coastal region. It wouldn't be surprising if this goes back out over water near Galveston and it makes another landfall potentially up around Louisiana. But then we think it would be a tropical storm when that happens. As a matter of fact, let me show you what we're watching out there right now. Back at home, it's nice and cool. Oh man, hasn't it been a great day? 72 was our high temperature this afternoon. Right now, we are barely hanging on to the 60s at 60 degrees. A lot of places outside the city are in the 50s already. Peachtree City, Covington, Eatonton, Athens in the mid-50s, Gainesville mid-50s, and in Carrollton, North Georgia, most places in the 50s except for Duluth at 61, Dalton 61, and Rome 62 degrees. Watch these temperatures though as we here in Metro Atlanta fall from those low 60s into the 50s overnight, and by tomorrow morning, generally low 50s around much of Metro Atlanta. I think we'll be in the right around 53 degrees, 53, 54 here in Atlanta early in the morning. Then moving up to about 58 by 10 o'clock with mostly sunny skies and just a few high thin clouds still trying to move into our area during the day tomorrow. So on our scale from 1 to 11, where an 11 is a perfect day, we're going to go with a 10. Lows near 52. Then we get up to 74 in the afternoon. That's still trending well below the average by about 7 degrees. So that's the only reason we're not going with an 11 on the wasometer, because it wouldn't be considered a perfect day for the 22nd of September. So take a look at what we're watching. Dry weather conditions out there now. Here is that moisture in association with Beta. You can see it moving into the Louisiana coast, into parts of Mississippi, up into Arkansas, and into Texas as well. We're just going to watch our clouds generally increasing more thickening up during the day on Wednesday, but we still think the rain risk on Wednesday is going to stay well out to the west. This thing's moving very slowly, so it's not going to make a lot of inroads into our area until we get into Thursday. We see the showers coming into Alabama, Mississippi, eventually into Georgia later in the day on Thursday, and then by Friday even a higher rain chance. And then this is how that corresponds with the track. Now, this is what I was telling you about, how it's moving inland now, and then it's going to take a hard right turn and go to the north and east. And you see this right here? It might actually go back out over water for a brief period and then make another landfall in Louisiana once we get into Thursday early in the morning, and then the remnants fall apart in Mississippi. On that track, it will be bringing us some rain, and some of that could be pretty good rain, between 2 and 4 inches in some spots, maybe even some isolated areas close to 6 inches. This isn't going to be like what we had with Sally with wind and rain and trees down. I think the wind is going to be absent from this once it moves in, but we will be dealing with some rain, especially Thursday and Friday, and then showers starting to taper off Saturday and into Sunday as temperatures warm back up to around 80 degrees as we head into the weekend and beginning of next week. Take a look at your weather wow moment. This is from 11 Alive community storm tracker Tommy Meyer. This was taken from the iconic Jackson Street Bridge. Beautiful, beautiful sunset there, as a lot of photographers often gather on that bridge. Tommy is one of our 11 Alive community storm trackers. You can be one too on Facebook. Just search 11 Alive Storm Trackers. It's a closed group, but if you ask to become a member, we will let you in, and you can see what other people are posting from their area. And then you can post your weather information, pictures and videos there too.
Are there any dues, Chris? You don't have any monthly notes, do you?
Not that I know of.
Okay, all right, thanks. Does the Constitution allow for a change in the number of Supreme Court justices? Evan Kozlov from our Verify team has the answer for you tonight.
The Verify team is here for you throughout this upcoming Supreme Court nomination process. And obviously, we're hearing a lot right now from politicians. If you're on the Verify team, we're just going to focus on the facts. If you look online, you're going to see a lot of posts like this, suggesting that if Democrats take back control of Congress in 2020, they could add seats to the Supreme Court. Some say 2 new justices, some say 4, some are saying many more than that. So we're going to verify, does the Constitution allow the number of Supreme Court justices to be changed? Here are our sources. Article 3, Section 1 of the Constitution. This FAQ page from the Supreme Court website.
Absolutely, no hesitation, clearly yes.
And Adam Levitin from Georgetown Law. Let's start with the Constitution. It reads, the judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, and that the judges, quote, shall hold their offices during good behavior. But this section says nothing about the number of justices.
Congress can change the number of justices on the court whenever it feels like. And historically it has.
In fact, there were some big fluctuations in early American history. In 1789, the first Judiciary Act set the number of justices to 6. During the Civil War, it got up to 10. In 1869, Congress settled it on 9 justices.
That's been the number we've had for the last 150 plus years. But there's nothing magic about it. It's just that's kind of where we set the number historically.
And the last time that there was a push to change the number was in 1937 with President Franklin Roosevelt, but in the end, that effort failed. So we can verify that yes, Congress, along with a signature from the president, can change the number of justices, but this hasn't been done for more than 150 years.
Can they? Absolutely. Will they? Less clear.
The popular viral video app TikTok is here to stay, at least for now. TikTok's partnership with Oracle and Walmart received tentative approval from President Trump, who had concerns over user data. In the deal, TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, would maintain majority ownership with Oracle and Walmart, holding a 20% share. Walmart plans to introduce e-commerce to the app so users can shop online. Prayers answered, the big milestones this family is celebrating after the photo of a little boy praying for his grandfather battling COVID went viral.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Prime Time, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews.
A little boy's prayers are answered. A 4-year-old boy named Owen told his mother that he would pray every day until his grandfather, who was battling COVID-19, was released from the hospital. It took more than 3 months, and Caitlin Ross reports his grandfather is now home and marking a special milestone.
Chuck and Nancy Paulus are celebrating their 40th wedding anniversary, and it was made so much sweeter by all they've overcome.
I got to experience when they hugged each other for the first time. Okay, I won't lie, I lost it. I was bawling my eyeballs out.
Chuck and Nancy Paulus celebrated 40 years of marriage with their children and grandchildren by their side.
They've been together longer than they were ever not together. And when you know, like, how are you supposed to do life without the other one?
Chuck was in ICU with COVID-19 for nearly 100 days. His entire family got sick when the pandemic first hit Georgia. Their kids recovered quickly, and Nancy was released from the hospital after a week. Then they all prayed for Chuck's recovery.
Wondered if this day would ever come, and when it finally did, I was just overwhelmed.
Nancy says they always had faith Chuck would pull through, but it was hard to see him isolated and alone for so long. That's why this day meant so much.
That was excellent, excellent. The whole family, friends around. It was really a great day.
They're taking his progress day by day, though, as he fights to get stronger.
Some days, the smallest activities he tries to do that he thinks should be so simple take a little bit more effort. So he would like this body to catch up with his mind.
Their family says his recovery has inspired them to appreciate the small things, like just being together.
When I see my boys with him, it makes my heart grow 100 times bigger, because these are memories that I didn't know that we would be able to make.
Coming up, it is legal to use medical marijuana in Georgia, but COVID is making it even more complicated to buy it here. We're verifying the facts when it comes to patients and their medicine.
Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. the things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
We are nearly 1 week into Hispanic Heritage Month, and in the U.S., Hispanics account for 18.5% of the population, and those numbers are growing, making them the largest racial or ethnic minority in the country. So we wanted to share some important information about people who identify as part of the Hispanic community. Throughout history, labels like Latino, Hispanic, and Spanish have kicked up a lot of debates about identity. Ariana Datil with our sister station at WUSA in Washington, D.C. breaks it down for us.
Latino, Hispanic, Latinx, and Spanish. Who claims which label? Great question. Throughout history, those terms have been used to kick up debates about identity in these communities. However, today, according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, the general definition of Hispanic refers to all people that originate from Spanish-speaking countries. That means Spain is an obvious yes, but places like Brazil and Haiti, where they speak Portuguese and French or Creole, well, they aren't included. Instead, according to dictionary.com, they can be considered Latino, which classifies people who descend from Latin American countries, but whose language isn't necessarily Spanish. Latino was a term that started showing up on official U.S. documents in the 1990s. According to the Pew Research Center, many Americans felt that the term was only highlighting people who descend from Spain. According to their data, the two terms were used interchangeably and appeared next to each other for the first time on the 2000 census. Now, with the 2020 census here, they have many more options for self-identifying. It's the overlap between Hispanic and Latino communities where most countries fall. Places like Mexico, Puerto Rico, Argentina, and Cuba. So what about Latinx? Well, according to Spanish grammar rules, Latinos can be a group of Latin men or women, and Latino refers to a Latin male, while Latina is the feminine version. But Latinx isn't part of the traditional Spanish grammar, but according to Pew Research Center, it's used as a gender-neutral pan-ethnic label. Okay, so now that we've cleared all of that up, why does Hispanic Heritage Month start on September 15th? According to the U.S. Census Bureau, starting in 1968, Congress authorized the president to issue an annual proclamation creating a National Hispanic Heritage Week. It wasn't until the late 1980s that an entire month was dedicated to the celebration. And during that month, we honor the contributions of Americans whose roots stem from Spain, Mexico, Central America, South America, and the Spanish-speaking nations of the Caribbean. That means Latinos and Hispanic Americans are included.
All right, let's take a second to talk about Latino voters. They are going to be a crucial part of the upcoming election, making up the largest group of eligible non-white voters. NBC News, The Wall Street Journal, and Telemundo polled eligible Latino voters and found that 62% say they would vote for Joe Biden. 26% said they would vote for President Trump. But this poll shows Latino support for the Democratic nominee is not as strong as it was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, Hillary Clinton was polling strongly among Latino voters, with support from 63% of registered voters, compared to President Trump's 26%. About 32 million Latino Americans are now eligible to vote in the upcoming election. As Election Day approaches, here are some dates that you will want to mark on your calendar. October 5th is the last day that you can register to vote in the November election. Then, a week later, early in-person voting begins. If you want to vote by absentee, if you have to request a ballot, then by October 30th. And then Tuesday, November 3rd is Election Day. You can find those dates and other key dates on 11alive.com/vote. Our voter guide gives you a list of other resources to help you secure your vote. Tomorrow's National Voter Registration Day. Foot Locker says it's getting on board to help target youth voters. The athletic retailer is joining forces with Rock the Vote to offer voter registration services. Beginning tomorrow, Foot Locker customers can sign up in more than 2,000 stores, including the Kids and Lady Foot Locker stores, as well as Champs and Foot Action. CEO Richard Johnson says the plan is to inspire and empower youth culture. Days after her death, many across the United States have been gathering to remember and mourn the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Flowers spread out in front of the U.S. Supreme Court, and marches took place in several cities, with many promising they will not forget her legacy. She was the second woman appointed to the nation's highest court. She will be the first woman to lie in state at the U.S. Capitol. Hope Ford was there as people gathered outside the state Supreme Court last night, and they are hoping that her death becomes a call to action.
A blow of the shofar, a horn, part of the Jewish tradition during Rosh Hashanah, used here to pay tribute to Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
A very big part of Judaism is justice and searching for justice and fighting for justice. It's actually part of our faith. And so Ruth was a Jew who lived her life exactly as we should.
Many people pointed to Ginsburg's passing on the holiest of Jewish holidays as a sign to keep fighting for things she believed in.
This is really the beginning of a revolution, for social justice in this country.
Though the crowd wanted to honor the late justice, they also called out the back and forth between Republicans and Democrats. President Trump already said he wants to nominate a woman to replace Ginsburg, and he wants to do it sooner rather than later.
We said that if for any reason we have a vacancy on the United States Supreme Court, we will fill that vacancy.
But Democrats like presidential candidate Joe Biden say it's better to wait until after the election.
To jam this nomination through the Senate is just an exercise in raw political power.
She said her most fervent wish was that she not be replaced until a new president was in office.
With her vacant seat now a battle between political parties, this crowd says they're inspired more than ever to vote and make change.
I think it's just really important that people be bold and take a stand, and they have conversations about this.
A 5-day bike fest drew tens of thousands of people from around the U.S. to the Lake of the Ozarks. Despite the pandemic, local health officials fear the event could be a super spreader of the coronavirus. A similar North Dakota rally in August was linked to outbreaks in at least 8 states. People who attended the bike fest said they were not worried about getting sick and did not wear face coverings. Thousands of medically fragile people still quarantined at home during the pandemic. Some of them say they can't stay in Georgia anymore because they can't access the medicine they need. A family contacted us because they think that medical marijuana is the only way to save their son's life. But They say they still can't legally buy it here in our state. Caitlin Ross went to verify if these families have any other option.
Georgia passed a law in 2015 that allowed people with certain medical conditions to ingest medical marijuana. Angel Salter's son Dylan was one of the first people in the state to get a medical marijuana card. She says it was life-changing for him.
When he's able to access the proper strain of cannabis, the proper amount of cannabis, it stops his seizures. It helps his pain.
Dylan is 22 and suffers from severe and life-threatening seizures. Angel says medical marijuana is the only thing that helps.
We've tried every pharmaceutical that we could possibly try, and they didn't help. They made things worse. This is our last resort. It works, and we have no access.
To verify, we looked at Georgia's current law. Last April, Governor Kemp signed a bill to legalize medical marijuana production and distribution. Late last year, the governor set up the Georgia Access to Medical Cannabis Coalition to figure out how to run the medical marijuana business in the state, but they only met once before the pandemic hit. So when it comes down to the law right now, is it legal to buy medical marijuana in Georgia? We went directly to the source, the State Department of Health resource page on the drug, and the answer is in black and white. No, you cannot buy marijuana in Georgia. So we can verify that's true. There's still no legal way to get medical marijuana in Georgia. And that makes it tough on families like Angel's, whose son's condition is getting worse.
It's beyond frustrating because it's life or death for my son.
In May, the state hired a new executive director for the Georgia Access to Medical Cannabis Coalition, who seems hopeful they'll be able to make progress soon. In a statement, Andrew Turnage says, "We have one goal, and that's to get oil for families in need. Think about families that have struggled to have their basic needs met during this pandemic. We have families in Georgia that have struggled for years to get this basic need, low THC oil, and our task will be to ensure that they receive it."
There are concerns about the idea that more COVID-19 cases could loom as the weather gets colder, but do lower temperatures really make you sick? Our sister station in Houston connecting the dots.
There has been a lot of concern about a second wave of coronavirus when the cold weather hits. But do chillier temperatures really make you sick? Let's connect the dots. The short answer is no. Despite what your mother told you, cold weather doesn't make you sick. Viruses do. But some side effects of the winter months could help those viruses spread. Some research has shown that rhinoviruses, also known as the common cold, prefer colder temperatures, replicating easier when winter hits. Same thing with the flu. Researchers believe it can survive and spread easier in the cold. The winter months can also take a toll on your immune system. People tend to spend less time outdoors, meaning they get less vitamin D from sunlight. It plays an essential role in keeping your immune system healthy. Also, thanks to staying indoors, you tend to be in close proximity to other people, allowing viruses to spread. But there is some good news about this winter. All the precautions we are taking to stop the spread of coronavirus, mask wearing, social distancing, and hand washing, can help stop cold and flu as well. In fact, countries in the southern hemisphere where winter is coming to an end report much smaller flu outbreaks this year.
All right, you can text us your questions, easy to do, at 404-885-7600, and we will try and answer everything that we possibly get about the coming flu season, something that we are all thinking about.
I'm Reveal investigator Rebecca Lindstrom. The worst outcome from COVID is death. But there is debate over whether the numbers are really telling the whole story. Are they too high or even underreported? What would you say killed your father?
I would definitely say COVID killed my father.
COVID is listed on his death certificate. So is pneumonia. Frank also had high blood pressure and an irregular heartbeat. In the COVID data, he is one of those listed with underlying health conditions. But Felicia says people need to understand none of that caused his death.
I need people to know that this is real. This life taking is real. This hurt is real. This pain is real. His absence is real.
Tonight at 11, we'll look back on the past to see what the data can really tell us now about COVID's deadly impact on our community.
Coming up, the story of an Atlanta artist and an anniversary that has turned him into a legend. He is one of the city's most famous exports to the world. An artist, a man with a camera unlike any other you'll ever see. Dennis Reggie is up next.
Tropical storm Beta making landfall right now in Texas. We'll track the remnants of that storm and an increase in our rain chances. Also, remember Paulette? It died out. Well, it just regenerated. We'll take a closer look at that coming up.
As the Braves get ready for the postseason, some bad news. The Braves general manager fills us in. Money.
Live.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear, on 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
He's the reigning world superstar of wedding photography. There's nothing quite like Dennis Reggie. If you don't believe that and you don't know him, check out his Facebook page and you'll be blown away by what he does with his EOS R5. He's the Tom Brady of the Canon. Dennis Reggie lives near Chastain Park, and he is considered the greatest wedding photographer on the planet. Today, an anniversary, September 21st, 1996, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette Kennedy were married in a private ceremony off the coast of Georgia on Cumberland Island. Dennis Reggie was there with his camera.
My little tiny company had 4 weddings that night all over the country, so I worked it out where I could fly down myself. I just wrote the word Jacksonville, which is where I flew to.
His photo of John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette was credited by the Wall Street Journal as the 20th century watershed image that transformed wedding photography forever.
So I showed up that weekend, and little did I know that that photograph would take on a life of its own, cover of Life magazine, photo of the year, and such.
Did Mr. Reggie know when he took the picture it would live in perpetuity?
So my mission was one picture, tell the story of this secret private wedding to the world, bring it. I brought it to the Associated Press in Atlanta to send it up to the satellites. And as they say, the rest was history. But that one to me had the right spirit.
For all of his worldwide acclaim, Mr. Reggie will always be associated with Cumberland Island and that picture. Mr. Reggie's extraordinary pictures now are a part of the permanent collection at the National Museum of American History. Chris?
Dry, cool weather out there right now. Feeling really nice. Tomorrow's going to be another nice day as we bring in fall, as the autumnal equinox is going to be tomorrow morning at 9:31. We're still watching what's happening right now. I want to give you a tropical update. Of course, we've been watching Beta moving inland here along the Texas coast, spreading in a lot of that rain. Eventually, the remnants will make it closer to us. We're still waiting on the 11 p.m. advisory, still showing winds at 45 miles an hour. I think that's going to be down a little bit now that it's moving inland at the next update in just a few minutes. But it shows this moving inland and then riding right along the coast, maybe back out over water before making a second landfall in Louisiana. And then the remnants of that storm, okay, that's the new one that just came in right now, still showing 45 miles an hour, moving northwest at 5. But you can see these remnants here, or the depression, moving right along the coastline and then dying out as it moves into Mississippi later in the day on Thursday. We still have to watch the remnants of this, even though it's not going to be a tropical system anymore, moving up toward the north, and that's going to bring us some rain as we go through the next few days here, especially for the end of the week. Some pretty good rain. The yellows indicating rainfall totals between 2 and 4 inches. The reds, even some totals up to 6 inches. I know that we're going to be refining those rain totals over the next few days, so just keep with us because we're talking about Thursday, Friday, and even into Saturday with those rain totals. Here's a look at Hurricane Teddy, back up to a Category 2 storm with max winds 100 miles an hour, moving north at 25 very quickly. It will lose its tropical characteristics and be below hurricane strength as it moves near Nova Scotia and then into the Canadian Maritimes as an area of low pressure. Now, this is so 2020, all right? Do you remember Paulette that died out over the North Atlantic? Well, we just got new data in on this. This is now regenerated and is a tropical storm again. So Paulette is rebirthed here, reborn into a tropical storm. It's out near the Azores. Here you have Portugal, Spain, Africa right over here. It's going to be moving actually this way and then turn around as an area of low pressure. It's not going to really be any impact on us, but just interesting that Paulette died out and is now back alive again. There's another system that we're watching off the coast, or off the southern tip of Florida. It really only has about a 10% chance of developing. I'm not really overly concerned about that system. And as you know, it's been a very active season. We made it through all of the names on the hurricane list from the National Hurricane Center. And so now we've gone to the Greek alphabet. We're on Beta. Any new storm that develops would be Gamma. We've only done this one other time in 2005 when we had 27 named storms. That year we made it through Zeta. So we'll see if we get to Zeta or even beyond Zeta this year to top what we did in 2005. So a very interesting hurricane season, very active season out there. The next couple of days here, though, it's going to remain dry, even though we're going to see an increase in our cloud cover on Wednesday, highs near 76. And then some of the moisture from what is left from Beta is going to bring us some showers here for Thursday, also into Friday. A few lingering showers on Saturday, tapering off, we think, Sunday, and then dry weather Monday with highs back up to around 80 degrees.
We have placed Cole Hamels on the IL and recalled Bryce Wilson for tonight's game. Cole came in little after 4, closer to 4:30, and just said his shoulder was didn't have the strength behind it.
So that's some surprising news for the Braves as they get ready for the postseason. Not good news. Cole Hamels headed to the injured list with a shoulder fatigue. He is on the 45-day list, so that means that he is done for the season. Braves paid Hamels $18 million this season. He pitched 3 1/3 innings. He had an ERA over 8. How about making that kind of change? That kind of coin, as they say. 3 innings, man. I want to be a baseball player, even at my advanced age. What a life. The magic number is, I'm rattled by all that money. The magic number for the Braves is 5 as they look to clinch the 3rd straight National League East title. They got things going early. Ozzie Albies, the RBI single in the opening inning, and the next hitter is Austin Riley. And then he will pass it down the right field line. Ozzie zooms around the bases to score. The Braves have the lead. They get the win 5-4. That magic number to clinch now is down to 3. Well, this is a tough day for the Falcons, tough day for Dan Quinn. You know, you hear questions put to him. I mean, what do you say after a loss like that? I mean, I think for anybody who's been following the Falcons for decades, maybe even generations, I don't think we've seen a regular season loss quite like that. Not in my decades here. Maybe somewhere in the 60s or 70s, maybe you can come up with one. But man, oh man, that was brutal. Let's hear from Dan Quinn. Here goes.
I spend my time thinking about the team and our execution and how we're going to go play. And so, you know, my focus, my attention, my time is on our team, the locker room, and the players. And really, that's where I keep my focus and moving ahead here to Chicago.
Yeah, there's not much to say after that thing. We do move on. It is finally game week for UGA. The Dogs at Arkansas on Saturday. Kirby Smart has yet to name a starting quarterback. According to our partners at UGAsports.com, DeJuan Mathis and Carson Beck took most of the first team reps last Friday, but JT Daniels, another name reportedly in the mix. Only problem is he has not been cleared to play. Kirby Smart is hoping that changes by Saturday.
Excited about the guys that have competed. They've all done a good job. They've all taken reps. Stetson, Carson, JT, and DeJuan have all done a good job, and excited to see those guys go out and play.
Hawks are getting ready for the NBA draft, but with the playoffs still going on, General Manager Travis Schlenk is still keeping a close eye on the teams chasing a title as he tries to build a winning team here. He's got some work yet. He says that seeing how those teams are built has not changed his mind about what he believes is needed to win a championship here in Atlanta.
Just seeing how those teams are playing out there, and you know how you have to have versatile guys on the floor. You know, you're seeing a lot of small ball now. You're starting to see a lot of zone out there. So you know, it goes back to what we've stated the whole time I've been here, having guys that all dribble, pass, and shoot.
All right, basketball's a simple game, right? That's all you got to do. Just dribble, pass, and shoot. You're home free. We're home free right now. We'll take a break. Back after this.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear, on 11 Alive News Prime Time, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died.
Fall arrives at 9:31 in the morning. It's going to feel like fall tomorrow. Plenty of sunshine, highs near 74. A few high thin clouds moving in. Clouds thicken up and increase on Wednesday, and then a better rain chance Thursday and Friday, diminishing as we head into the weekend as temperatures move up to around 80 degrees for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. For Jeff Hullinger and the team, I'm meteorologist Chris Holcomb. Flip over to 11 Alive now for Up Late.
We're committed to giving you facts, not fear, on 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear, on 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.